What do you make of the scary statistics of 6,000 people dying annually as a result of reckless driving? The recurring tanker explosion along Lagos-Ibadan expressway is also making the route a nightmare for motorists who ply the routes regularly. With the Federal Road Safety Corps spearheading a campaign for creating a safe motoring environment, what's it doing to stop the unpleasant cycle of road mishaps in the country? It's question time. Welcome to the show. I'm Benga Ashur. Now, what's been your experience driving along the highway across the country? Send us your comments on our social media platforms showing right on your screen. After the Black Thursday of June 28, Otedola Bridge tanker explosion in which claimed 12 lives and 50 vehicles burnt. This along with a recent twin tanker accident along the same routes. The big question is there a sustainable solution to this problem? We had a chat with the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Dr. Boboye Oyemi. He explains that the FRSC is doing everything within its disposal to put Nigeria among the top 20 safest nations in the world for driving. But how does he intend to make this happen? Join us as we engage the road safety boss in this interview. The Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Dr. Boboye Oyemi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Question Time.
Good evening.
Now, let's take our point of departure from the task of creating a safe motoring environment. You've been moving for this advocacy for a long time now, but recent occurrence happening in Lagos and in other flashpoints is sending a different narrative to this, a very unpleasant reality. Just recently, tanker explosion within the Otedola Bridge, one too many. So, is this an indictment on the Federal Road Safety Corps?
No, it's not an indictment. It's a reflection of the transportation challenge in the country. Over the years, we've been advocating for intermodal transportation system. And Mr. President, too, in one of our submissions, concur that the solution to the perennial challenges is the effective railway system. You see, most of the things the haulage business owners are conveying are supposed to be done by rail. And 90% of our mobility in the country today is by road. And that is why the pressure is too much on the road. What 200 tankers we carry, the two engines and 200 wagons of the train, we convey this in a faster way. Within 24 hours, maximum 36 hours, they will get to the destination. This is what we have been advocating for, and we must commend this present administration.
But it's been alleged that most of these tankers run foul of roadworthy standard.
Well,
what is the Road Safety Corps doing about this?
Well, when we're going to that, I've raised alarm over the last 2 years that 90% of the haulage vehicles are over 30 years. They are aged. The flatbed, the tankers, and the trailers, they are aged. And the issue of vehicle inspection is the responsibility of the states, not the Federal Road Safety Corps.
You mean the Road Safety Corps does not have enough mandate?
No, you see, when you look at the
traffic management system,
the issue of vehicle inspection and driver's testing is statutory the responsibility of the state, because part of it is the IGR. When it comes to road tax, the road tax goes to the states.
But it has a bearing on road safety.
It bears the bearing is that when we now see on roadworthy vehicles on the highway, we impound them. But when you even impound them, they have valid roadworthiness. That is where the problem lies. It is not the responsibility of FRSC to start inspecting, to do periodic inspection. But on the highways, the Act gives us power. When you see a vehicle that is belching smoke or that is not fit to be on the road, then you impound the vehicle. And
so the recent happening now, does it suggest that the Road Safety Corps is compromising on its mandates?
No, it's not. We're not compromising.
Because these vehicles have been left unfettered. They ply the road daily.
You should go back to the antecedents, and you must commend FRSC on the efforts we have made in the last 3 years. This is the issue of loading of petroleum products from the tank farms. We have about 63 tank farms, and I think about 40-something, about 42 or 43 are in Lagos alone. And on assumption of my office in 2014, the first thing I did was, we had this Safe to Load program. Our personnel were trained in France. We now did the trainers program, and we trained 168 officers, and we deployed them to the various tank farms. That is why, if you observe in the last 3 years, even though we do have 1 or 2 crashes involving tankers, but it has dropped. You must appreciate the efforts we have made. The issue is this. This tanker that was involved, there's a lot of compromise at the loading points, and also with NUPENG and NATO, and the federal government is already working on it because Mr. President has approved the implementation program. All these vehicles that are more than 10 years will not be allowed to load.
Don't you look at it from that angle that most of these tank owners, the tanker owners, are very influential people? They belong to the influential circle. I don't think. Are you under pressure?
We are not under pressure. The issue is the compromise. Let me explain to you. The one that happened at Otedola, that was a flat bed 14.58 tonnage trailer. It's for the rigs. And it was brought to Nigeria, converted to be pulling a 60,000 liter tank. The engine of that vehicle cannot drive what it ends carrying. It's a compromise, and it rolled back. And if you observe of recent, I've just called for another road safety audit between Ojota to...
And that has been left to wallow for so long until that tragic occurrence.
No, we've been having, even to, of recent, we've had 2 problems. We have problem between Ojota and the Long Bridge. It has to do with the compromising stand of these vehicle owners, and the federal government is already taking a tough stand